Okay, the climate is changing. It's getting hotter, but why? Many human-made creations produce lots of greenhouse gases, things like carbon dioxide and methane. Since the Industrial Revolution, humans have been drastically increasing the amount of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere. These gases will trap heat on the planet and increase global temperatures. This is made exponential by the increasing population of the human species, which will require more machinery and more complicated systems that will require more energy, that will require a whole lot more greenhouse gases. Since the start of the Industrial Revolution, humans have increased the concentration of CO2 in the atmosphere by nearly 50%. And because of indirect measurements like reconstruction from ice cores, which I do not know what that means, but I'll pretend, we can find that CO2 concentration has never in the last estimated 800,000 years had a spike this large. This isn't just correlation, there's more than a 95% chance that human activity is causing climate change. In 1900, the global population was about 1.5 billion. In 1950, 2.5. In 2000, 6 billion, and in 2022, current year, almost 8 billion. This is an exponential increase. Climate change causes glaciers to shrink, sea levels to rise, and species to go extinct. The sea levels have risen a little over 100 millimeters since 1993 due to the estimated 400 billion metric tons of ice loss in glaciers since then. If that wasn't bad enough, an estimated 1/3 of all animal and plant species could go extinct before the end of the century if we continue on this track, having major impacts on ecosystems. Let's look at that actually. Hippocampus whitei, also known as white seahorse, can be found in the Australian waters of southern Queensland from depths between 1 and 18 meters in places like seagrass meadows, corals, and sponge gardens. Its population has declined by about 96% between 2006 and 2015. The major threat to the species' survival is habitat loss. Their environments are being destroyed by things like pollution and sedimentation, making them endangered. For this species to be saved, we'll have to rescue and breed many seahorses and protect their environments.
Message for Putin. You ain't got a full sandwich, ain't got a full ticket. You're 50p short of £1.
This Latin name, which I won't try and pronounce, aka the devil coconut palm, can be found in rainforests with deep soil exclusively on these islands here, which I will also not try and pronounce. There are only 8,000 left, a lot less than there used to be. Fires and harvesting cause only a few of the plants to remain, meaning they're officially endangered. Luckily, many of the plants are protected, and there are fire breaks to prevent fires from destroying large populations all at once. Despite this, the damage to their population might be irreversible.
Okay, I went to France to get some new pants. I went to Greece to get something to eat.
The Pacific Garbage Patch is a solid mass of trash in the North Pacific Ocean with a non-point source, so it's coming from a lot of different places all at once. Trash is being taken into a vortex of garbage and creating a large mass of mostly microplastics and fishing nets made of synthetic materials, and it's all mostly invisible to satellites. A whole lot of wildlife is negatively affected by the trash. Turtles can mistake it for food, albatrosses accidentally feed plastic to their chicks, which can kill them, and marine mammals can be caught and drowned in the trash. These plastics can also release harmful chemicals during photodegradation by the sun, which harms the food chain. The only effective method to clean up the patch would be a major switch to biodegradable resources, or the alliance and major expense of almost all world countries in order to clean it up.
Bozo, 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 you're an idiot. Always talk too much, let's not get into it.
The burning of fossil fuels, a non-point gas source of air pollution. Things like power generation, industry, and transportation, so basically everything, can require fossil fuels to burn, which release harmful chemicals into the atmosphere and water supplies. 84% of energy is generated by fossil fuels, and 89% of global CO2 emissions come from fossil fuels. We're on track to double our production by 2030, which will probably turn our planet into a more blue version of Venus. Air with high CO2 concentration has horrible health effects on people and wildlife. Increases in global temperatures caused by CO2 cause sea levels to rise. This will cause at least 600 million people in the next 80 years on the coast to be forced to set up seawalls or flee their homes, causing a major refugee crisis. The only thing that can prevent a major disaster is immediate regulation on the burning of fossil fuels, which certainly won't happen since the world economy relies on them so heavily. Okay, so the two things that all of these forms of environmental degradation have in common is that they are majorly worsened or entirely caused by human activity and reduce the quality of the Earth's environment. Since the Industrial Revolution, use of fossil fuels and therefore CO2 emissions have been increasing, along with increased production of synthetic, non-biodegradable materials like plastics that harm wildlife. This, along with the exponentially increasing human population, means that we're using more resources and snuffing out other species with garbage, overharvesting, and expansion. Dang, that sucks, doesn't it? Well, bye.